actually art was given to me as a gift for Christmas, and, canvas and paint was by a friend that I love, dearly. And it was kind of pushed on me. I was like, I guess now is my time. I prayed for a while to have my own place, and I had the apartment of my, it was my dream apartment. And so I was like, okay, like, I guess this is my time to just pick up a paintbrush and just try.
One of my absolute favorite things about having started this podcast is the opportunity that it gives me to talk to people who I haven't came in contact with for as long as I have lived in Cleveland, as for as long as the people who I'm talking to have lived in Cleveland. So without further ado, I'm so excited to ask this question. Who is Lydia Troy?
Ooh, that is a loaded question, Jacob, but thank you so much, for having me here. This is super exciting. I would think, or I guess I would say that Lydia Troy is an artist. She's super creative. She's motivated by art, So I've always been driven. I've always been a hustler. I, like to dig my hands in the dirt and just try out different things. And, recently I've been, painting, which has been, now it's part of my life, and I can't even imagine, life without it, which has been really awesome. I'm a lover of all things just within the art industry. So, music, fashion, I love to thrift and antique, and, just being with friends. I value friendships. I value family. I'm God-fearing. I've been through a lot, and now I guess, where I'm at in life, I'm very confident in who I am, and, what I'm looking for, and what my path looks like. I'm, just excited to get to know Lydia Troy more, and, it's crazy, but I do finally feel like she's gotten to a point in life where she's, confident and just, ready to take on more.
And I can feel that. I can see that. It's something that I myself was able to experience when I first met you. I mean, right outside, I was just like, oh my gosh, like I had that feeling where you knew who you were and who you are. And I think that comes through some of the content that you are producing and the art that you are sharing within the community. But I think what's so crazy to me is the skill set that you have. I mean, don't even think about giving me a pencil, a paintbrush, or anything, yet put it in your hands, and nothing short of a masterpiece is made. And where did that start? How did you find out that you had and have the gift of art?
That's a really great question. So I've been a creative my whole life. I mean, growing up, I would, make something and then try to find a way to sell it. Like I'm an entrepreneur too in that way. But with painting, I actually just, the whole reel thing became big on Instagram, and I am inspired by other creatives. And I would see these artists just making amazing things on Instagram. And I'm like, well, I can do that. It's like, and actually, I could do it. And it's something that I love to do. I love to create. So actually, art was given to me as a gift for Christmas. And, canvas and paint was by a friend that I love, dearly. And it was kind of pushed on me. I was like, I guess now is my time. I prayed for a while to have my own place, and I had the apartment of my, it was my dream apartment. And so I was like, okay, like, I guess this is my time to just pick up a paintbrush and just try. I used to paint in high school, but, I never painted to sell or even just to have fun with. So I started painting, and I posted my first painting. And people, were in my inbox like, Lydia, that's amazing. Are you selling that? Can I have that? And I'm sitting there like itching my head. I'm like, wait, you guys like my art? That's super dope. I was like, awesome. So I had just moved. I just moved into my own place and bought all new furniture. So I was a little bit in debt. Just like, just a little bit. And I was like, I could paint. This could be my side hustle.
Yeah.
And so I started painting, and this was December of 2022. And from December to now, I have painted and sold over 100 paintings.
What?
Yeah, which is super awesome. So I got myself out of debt.
Yes.
I took myself to Italy with a couple girlfriends, and, you know, it was helping me with my mental health. It was helping me with anxiety. And, I was just like, wow, I'm really connecting with myself. I'm learning so much more about who Lydia Troy is just through spending time with just me and focusing on me, and just kind of getting lost in that, that flow state of mind that you get into when you create.
That's amazing. And one of the questions that I have for you is in regards to the over 100 paintings that you've put together in such a short period of time. Are these ones that you've been commissioned to do? Are they those that you have just been inspired to put together yourself that you've put out on the marketplace that people have bought? How does that work?
Yeah, it's cool. I've been fortunate enough to actually have mostly commissioned pieces. So I was in my 800 square foot apartment, and I was like, all right, Lyd, you got to figure this out. So I can't have all these paintings lying around. So, I just would, start creating, and then I would post, and, someone would be like, oh, like, can you make me one? Can you make me one? And so I would just get my clients through Instagram, and they would all be, commissioned pieces. So I would be inspired. I'd say, please send me a picture of your space. And I'm also very inspired by interior design and, just architecture and furniture and people's style, So I would ask them to send me just a picture of or a video of their space and what colors they like, and, if they like texture, no texture. And then I would just create and, send them pictures throughout the process. But, I always laugh because my process is lengthy. I'll have like 20 different paintings on top of one another. It's like how it starts. It's a completely different painting by the end.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of how it rolls or how it goes. And it's been awesome.
Well, and the fact that you're able to make it a collaborative process is what I imagine is a huge part and reason for your success, because you're so right. I mean, you can't put something that doesn't belong into a space where it looks like it doesn't fit.
Yeah.
So I was showing my mom a couple of your paintings, and she was just like, oh my gosh, like I love them. And
That's awesome.
there's something that's super specific about your style.
Yeah.
So what would you say, how would you describe your painting style?
As a growing artist, I didn't know what my style was when I first started. I just was creating just to create. And it was me just, picking up my paintbrush, trying out different techniques. And, I give a lot of thanks to God. Like, I mentioned I'm God-fearing. I believe in God, and, I wouldn't be where I am today without him. And every piece that I always start off by praying and just saying, Lord, help me with this painting and help me just speak to whoever's getting this painting, and let it just kind of be what they need for it to be in their space. And when they look at it, to just, feel peace within. Art's been peace for me. And so I want my piece of art on their wall to be peaceful in their home. It's a huge honor to have something that I've created in a space that people live in and that they look at every day. And a home is such a special place, So with all that said, I really think that God, like sometimes I black out when I paint, I'm like, what am I even doing? And I'll just be like doing something, and then I'll look, I'll take a couple steps back, and I'll look at it and be like, wow, God, that's really awesome what you just did. And I don't even know if it's me half the time. It sounds funny, but true, yeah.
Well, and there's a lot of texture to it.
Yes.
Like I'm going to post a couple of these as we're talking about them, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, please.
And I think what's amazing is the fact that it's not a traditional, like, I don't know even what it's called, like water painting or watercolors or whatever. Like, there's substantial amount of texture to it.
Oh,
And
yeah.
is that just because of the like amount of paint that you use, the type of paint that it is? Is that a specific style?
So there was a point in time where the whole textured paintings were super trendy, and you know, they like people. I would research, well, what are people using to do these really cool like liney textured paintings, but they were very controlled line paintings, like shapes almost. And I've always been into like pottery and ceramics, and I'm like, I wonder if people are using like plaster, like, it's like, because you can't, I mean, you could use like a heavy bodied paint like acrylic to get that texture, but it would take a lot of layers and it would just take a lot of work. So it's like, what can I do in order to create the type of texture that I'm looking for? So I went to Home Depot and I got a huge bucket of plaster, and I would just, dig on in and slap it on and then just move, just
Wow.
make, yeah, just, use my hands or use tools. I think at one point I took out a hairbrush or a comb, a toothbrush, whatever, just to create some magic.
Gosh. Now, is that how you put together one of your pieces that's over at one of your favorite coffee shops?
Yeah. So let go. And this is another just a dream of mine. I always thought, oh, it'd just be super cool to have a piece of my art up at a coffee shop. It's like, I've made it if I have that, and it's so funny for me to think that now, because now it's like, it's happened for me, which is I'm super grateful and thankful to walk into my favorite coffee shop and see my piece on the wall. And I've had a couple, and a couple have sold there, which, it's been awesome. And, I'll be like sitting in the corner working, and then I'll see some people walk in and they're like looking at the art, and I'll just, take out my headphones, and I'm like eavesdropping, like, what do they have to say about it? Which is, it's cool, it's cool to kind of be that hidden artist in the corner and people don't even know that it's you right there.
Yes. Well, because I was looking at your Instagram highlights
Yeah.
and you had one that was specifically saying that you're like, when I'm sitting next to people who are
Yeah.
talking about my art without them knowing that they're sitting next to the artist. That's so fun.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And what it does is it gives you the ability to express yourself.
Exactly.
And when this is something that you are doing out of just pure enjoyment and fulfillment, I'm so happy for you that you are so talented doing something that you love, to
Yeah.
be able to not only fill your cup, spiritually, emotionally, and just personally, but like it's able to pull you out of, the debt that you said that you were in, and it's
Yes.
able to put you in a better position.
Right.
And I think more importantly, it's not a distraction.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's just been a life altering piece of Lydia Troy that I never knew that I had. I've been through trauma in my life, and I lost my brother in 2017, and he was my biggest cheerleader. He was always like, Lyd, like, little sissy, you got to get out there and paint. Like, you're so talented. You got to go and create. Like, that's what you're best at. And, I'd always be like, oh, thanks, but then I never took action. And when it was gifted to me, I kind of, I almost resented it a little bit. I was like, ugh, I can't do that. And when I, kind of put my ego aside and was like, you know what, Lyd, you do need something to kind of get your mind off of things. And, mental health is a big thing, and we all go through it. We all go through anxiety. And so I, one night, just picked up that paintbrush and just started going, and I was like, wow, like this, I felt my brother's spirit too around me, and I was like, this is what I need to be doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm so sorry to hear about your loss.
Yeah,
But
thank
with
you.
that, it sounds like it's something that fuels you and something that is an
Yeah.
inspiration.
Definitely. Yeah, and I mark 7/17/17 on the back of all of my canvases in honor of my brother. So yeah, I do try to, with anything that I do, I like I said, I'm kind of an entrepreneur in a way that I get bored with things and I switch on and off. And I started a business called Boy Vntg, and Johnny's my brother's name. selling, mid-century modern furniture. So 1960s, amazing, incredible furniture. And, I always just want to just remember my brother and just honor him and anything that I do. So with art, I think it's really cool that I, can put 7/17/17 on it.
Yes. Now, for
Yeah.
Johnny Boy Vintage, how are you collecting these pieces?
I have a lot of ways to collect furniture. I mean, one includes trash picking. I love to thrift and antique. So, I grew up, my dad, he created 18th century furniture all by hand. He was a carpenter. So I kind of grew up with, my dad's always taken me really cool antique stores and just learning about different furniture and where it comes from and, just looking at things that have a story behind them and that have been lived in. Like, I just think it's so cool. So when and that was 2020, I had lost my job and I was like, I got to do something. And so at the time, I just started collecting furniture and, it was awesome. It was so fun. And I would just sell it. So I would, either pick it up off the, bulk pickup day. I'd find an awesome chair that I knew, like in my head, I was like, that's got to be something, And so I'd take Google Lens, snap a picture of it, and then, pull it up and see what it's worth and, fix it up, whether it's, I had to sand it down and restain it. Anything like that.
Yeah.
So that also, that was a whole other side of me that I just love.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, while you were doing that, you were living in your 800 square foot apartment. So were you flipping these pretty quickly or?
Actually, during that time of my life, I was in a house. So
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
I was in a home for that period of time.
Fair.
But yeah, that would be really difficult. And that's kind of why I put that, whole side hustle, side hobby aside, just because, living in an apartment, it was really difficult for me to store pieces like that.
Yeah.
So, I needed a new gig. So I was like, I guess canvas will fit a little bit better than furniture will in my apartment. So, I picked that up.
Now, do you still have a few active projects in regards to painting right now? Like,
Yeah.
when will you ever get to the point of being like, it's just like I'd imagine that you're so overwhelmed, or not overwhelmed, but you're asked to do so much.
Yes.
So how do you determine what the right amount is for you at any moment in time?
That's a great question. So, knowing who I am and I've struggled with just being a people pleaser in life. And, with art, it's it's a vulnerable thing. It's scary to put out your artwork, and also to promise to people if you can, make something and then, what if you do have other things going on in life? We all do, right? We're all super busy. So, I've tried my best to be like, hey, I have a timeline, I have a list, like you're this far down on the list, I'll reach out to you and, like when I'm ready for your piece, I'll reach out to you and let you know. But it's tough, it's hard to promise things and then not be able to deliver. I don't like that, like I want to complete everything at once, but it's exhausting sometimes. So I know I have to take care of myself as well.
With you having brought up the whole aspect of making sure that we have good mental health and that we feel good about ourselves, I'd imagine in some cases that's difficult within the art industry because it's so opinion-based. A lot of it is subjective.
Yeah.
So I'd imagine you've had to overcome quite a few things that have come your way that you've had to say, you want to know what? Either no, that's not the way that I'm going to view things, or I'm going to look at how people are saying certain things and what people are talking about.
Yeah.
And move on from that.
Definitely. And, I think art's helped me so much just, kind of put aside, what people think is good within art. It's like, this is my style. This is my technique. I'll work with you because obviously I want you to love this piece. And I send a midway process picture and I'm like, hey, give me all thoughts and give me, pointers, or let's, if you want less of this color, if you want more of a different, like just, I love criticism, good critiques and
Yeah.
criticism and, feedback. And as honest as they are with me, it helps me just be more, honest with myself as an artist, and just try to develop something that, works on both ends. So,
And you do some pretty big
yeah.
projects, like
Yeah.
huge projects, which I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah, it's cool. It's really cool. I noticed that, when I first started, that the small canvas just wasn't working for me. I like to think big and just, play. And I was almost constricted. I was like, I feel like I can't color outside of the lines with this little canvas. So I bought a big piece, and I think actually somebody wanted a big piece, and I was like, oof, that's intimidating. But then I got it, and I was like, oh yeah, this is the size plus bigger that I need to be, working with.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, do these pieces get like pretty heavy?
Yeah.
I'd imagine.
They do. Yeah, they do. And that's the other thing. It's like I work mostly with 36 by 48s. It fits in my car, so I can hand deliver it. I'm like, one of these days I should just go out and buy a Sprinter van or, a truck. I should have bought a truck. But especially with all my trash hunting and, furniture picking up on the side of the road, I should have just bought a truck. But I bought an SUV. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, so, I don't know. I mean, it's cool if I do get a request that's bigger than what I normally do. I try to find a way to have it delivered, or my dad has a huge van that fits, most of my bigger pieces in there. But yeah, I'm just really grateful and just thankful that I get this opportunity to do something that I love.
Yeah.
For other people. And if I can inspire others and to pick up a paintbrush or to, do something that they're passionate about, I mean, it's awesome. It makes me happy.
You are an inspiration to so many people
Thanks.
out there.
Yeah.
Both
Appreciate it.
painters, oh, absolutely, both painters and those that are doing something outside of painting, because everyone's on their own path.
Right. Absolutely.
And when they see what it is that you're doing, that's inspiring. I mean,
Yeah.
I saw that you were just doing live painting at one of the after parties for the 30 under 30.
Yes. Yeah, that was a super awesome open door that came my way, and it was an opportunity that it was challenging, just like this. I mean, this is challenging for me. I don't talk about myself often or, on film, but it's cool, it's a way to push myself. And I think, I'm approaching 30, and I'm trying to just do things that are a challenge. And so live painting in front of, people, I mean, celebrities, I mean, it was tough, but like I said, I just kind of just did my own thing and just went into my own state of mind, my own flow. And, I wasn't really worried about what was going on in the background and just kind of did my thing.
I was going to ask, is it hard to be in that type of environment when you're honed into your craft?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Especially with good wine and food surrounded by you and friends, it's tough. And I was, dressed up, and
Yes.
for me, when I paint, I'm either in a t-shirt and baggy jeans or, barefoot and paint all over the place, usually paint's on my face.
Yeah.
So it was different, but it was cool. And, I want to take it back. It was an awesome opportunity.
Oh, it's going to be huge, and it's a stepping stone
Yeah.
towards something even bigger.
Yeah.
Are there milestones or goals that you have set for yourself into the future, or are you just kind of like, the sail that is being taken by the wind?
My whole journey thus far has been the sail taken by the wind. But recently I had to make a very hard decision, either to stay in my apartment in Cleveland that I loved and that I cherished, or, say, hey, Lyd, it's time for a new adventure, which I love. I'm a risk taker. I love adventure. And so I kind of told myself, you've had 7 amazing years in Cleveland. Some weren't really focused on you. They were focused on other things that weren't serving you. So now it's time to take the reins on your life and move out and start over and do, do something new. So it's been different. Now I'm living with my parents, but it's been awesome. And I'm about to go on this, Airbnb adventure where I'm traveling, different states or, even just trying to figure out where I want to settle. Maybe it's in Cleveland. Maybe I get my own studio. I think that would be a goal of mine, is to have my own studio. Somewhere that I could have space bigger than an 800 square foot apartment,
Yes.
So that would be a goal of mine, definitely within the next couple of years, to have a true space or even a home where I'm very, I think when I create, my space is so important to me. So, I have to like the furniture around me. I have to have candles lit and set the mood, like that's just how I roll. So it's been nice at home, but it's definitely a new challenge, but it's one that I think God closed the door on in Cleveland, and, nothing against Cleveland. It's brought me so much opportunity, and I love it. I might be back, but as of right now, I'm being pulled elsewhere. So it's
Yeah.
exciting to see.
Have you done quite a bit of traveling on your own?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have. I've always, like I said, I love adventure, and I've always been a risk taker. And I've traveled out of the country. I've traveled to Hong Kong, China, Europe, just like, Mexico, Honduras, like just really, really awesome places. And I'm extremely grateful for that. And I think throughout my travels, you just gain so much knowledge on culture, just meeting new people, and just experiences, and when you're kind of stuck in the same bubble for too long, it just, I feel like like an egg. I just need to be cracked and just
Yeah.
like spread, just go out and meet new people. And I want to bring, my creativeness to those new experiences, or learn something from those experiences.
Yes. Have you heard of Contrast High?
I have, yes. Yeah, they were right actually where I lived, right in Church and State. They had a pop-up there forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, super cool. The women are amazing there. Yeah, I have. They're incredible. They're super inspiring.
So in the same which way that I'm inspired by you, I'm
Yeah.
inspired by them, because what they do is incredible.
Yeah.
The artwork that they produce, both on canvas, within clothing, and then also digitally,
Yeah, it's so cool.
it's so cool and it's so unique, and it's something that that most people are not doing.
Right.
So the fact that they are doing it is amazing. And I know that, like, I'm not 100% certain on this, but I believe Jenna's dad
Yeah.
is also an artist.
Oh, cool.
And he will host these events around Cleveland. I believe the last one was called, like, Empty Walls Are Boring.
Oh, I love that.
And he hung up a bunch of his artwork, and maybe even some of theirs. I don't know.
Yeah.
But to your point, what they do is cultivate a space around themselves that fuel their inspiration
Yeah.
and fuel their creativity, so that when they're in that space, even if it's just a small pop-up for the time being, they are in an environment in which they can create, they feel
Exactly.
comfortable with creating,
Yeah.
and that's going to help them push out artwork that's to the best of their abilities.
Right. Oh, 1000%. Yeah. I love that about them. I would always be like peeking in the windows, like, what is all this cool, there's cool art. And I walked in there one evening, and, I got to know the owners and the space and what they were doing. I was like, wow, this is super incredible and inspiring. And I think that's what I loved about living in Hingetown so much. There's just so many creative, like, creativity all around me there, and creative humans. And yeah, I do think that the community of Cleveland just really supports artists, and I love that about it, Yeah, I feel like when you're, small like me, I felt like a very small artist, but I've been able to grow and I've had these amazing opportunities come my way that I'm, super grateful for.
And what I love to see is that you're taking advantage of it.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
when you had mentioned that maybe art wasn't something that you wanted to spend a lot of your time doing, I was thinking to myself, I go, oh, but you're so talented.
Yeah.
But I think what is important to acknowledge within that moment in time is you were able to take a step back and think about what you needed
Yeah,
and what you wanted and what would best serve you. And it
absolutely.
may have been to not do art,
Yeah.
at least whether it be for a specific period of time, whether it be for a specific type of art, or for whatever reason. But even making that decision would have potentially served you more if art wasn't fulfilling.
Oh, 1000%. Yeah. I do believe that we go through chapters in life as well, and like I said, I often get bored with things. And so I like to change it up. And I was selling vintage clothing and, I was like, gosh, can I be, putting my hands in all of this? And I was like, actually, yeah, where I'm a creative, I'm a creator. I love all things, you know, I love interior design. I love furniture. I love fashion and clothes and painting and just creating. It's like, why can't you do it all,
Yeah.
But there are different chapters in life where, sometimes you need to put things on the back burner in order to, focus more on relationships or on family, on yourself, And in this last chapter of mine, and it's a growing chapter. I've chose to focus on art, which I'm really thankful for. I've really connected with myself through it.
I'm so excited for you.
Thank you. Yeah, it's cool.
I'm also so excited to see how your art potentially changes
Yeah.
as you experience these new environments.
Yeah, me too. I mean, it's scary. I actually, one of my pieces that let go, I named it Beauty in the Unknown. And at that time, like I didn't really know what my future looked like. And it was my very first piece at a coffee shop. And I was like, wow, I've made it, like this is so awesome. Good job, Lyd, like really excited. And so I made this giant piece and I named it Beauty in the Unknown because I just, creating it, I was like, Lyd, let's just be open-minded moving forward, like let's not have expectations. Let's just focus on you and on art and and just kind of let God lead your path. And so I've kind of done that in the past, and I'm continuing to do that. And I just have to have full trust and my next steps and where I'm gonna go. And I'm excited to find out.
Yes. And didn't your dad help you put up that painting?
Yeah, he did.
Yes.
He's awesome. So yeah, he I called him up. I was like, Dad, I need you. We have a great relationship with my mom as well. I mean, my family means everything to me.
Yeah.
And he's like, all right. So he, drove on up to Cleveland and he, helps me hang it up, which, looking back, those are the memories that I love and I cherish. So.
I'm so happy that you're close with your family.
Yeah, thanks.
It means so much to each and every person that has the opportunity to be fortunate enough to be in a situation in which, your family's together and supportive of
Right.
what you're doing, because a common theme that I've noticed through each and every one of the guests who have talked about why they are where they are and how they've gotten to where they are, a huge part of what they attribute it to is the support that they've had from their parents.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And either, I mean, they could go one way or another, and my parents, I'm so fortunate to have loving parents that, they're like, they've been my biggest support throughout life, dealing with death and dealing with the loss of a sibling. It was extremely hard on me, but it was also extremely hard for me to see my parents go through something like that. My parents are really amazing people. And unfortunately, my brother he couldn't escape the disease that he was in of addiction. But I have gotten so much stronger with my relationship with my parents through this hardship. And I think through painting too. I've had some requests to do paintings for people that have lost a sibling or a loved one. And I think that those paintings to me they mean so much, and it's just so cool to be able to connect through art and through just, connecting through a similarity that it sucks to have that similarity, right? It really sucks.
Yeah.
But it's almost like, let's lift each other up. Let's support one another. And if I can inspire you just by a piece in your home, just to look at it, and if it can remind you of your loved one, that's my goal, through being an artist.
And to be able to articulate every bit of what you have just done, you can tell that you've gone through healing. You've been able to think and overcome very, very strong emotions, and those will continue to be with you over time.
Oh, absolutely.
But what you have been able to do is set a mindset for yourself that allows you to understand what it is that you need to be able to move forward. And I think that that's beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. And I support anyone that, has gone through loss. And I do feel like I found a way to help myself cope better, right? Like through art and creating, and just if somebody else, is struggling, like if I could be a light, or if I can help them out with like just showing them that, look, I have been through trauma. My life is not perfect. I try to be as vulnerable and open as I can on my Instagram page because, I saw this quote actually, and it was like, humans are like books, right? Most just pick up the cover and look at the cover. Few just, will read the introduction, and then very little will actually read the book. And I'm like, wow, like that is so true, Like we all have stories. We all have been through things, whether it's toxic relationships, losing loved ones, finding your right career path, like not, like just struggles in life. And if you could just find something that makes you happy and you're able to do it, even if it's a side gig, even if it's just, going, I don't know, like going running through the park or whatever makes you happy, right? And I think that's really, really helped me out in life.
So beautifully said.
Yeah.
Because it's every bit of part of what I aspire to do through having conversations.
Totally.
Like this.
Yes.
I mean, it is amazing what I thought this was going to be, and then what it actually turned out to be.
Oh, Jacob, it's incredible. What you're doing is awesome, and I'm in full support. I mean, you're a light, like you get to connect with amazing, inspiring people. And, I'm lucky to be sitting here, that you've asked me, that you saw something in me. I mean, that is super cool. But no, what you do is incredible. I mean, I love, like, how did you even get started with this?
So, I mean, the full story is that I was playing basketball and I went up for a layup, and instead of the kid hitting the basketball, they hit my face.
Oh,
okay. So I actually wound up busting up my front tooth. So it killed it. I had to get a root canal in my front tooth.
Oh, painful.
And my smile was then something that I was self-conscious about. The colors didn't match, and I didn't like how they were shaped, and it was something that I struggled with. I mean, I remember like looking in the mirror and just like crying and being like, oh, like this is
hard.
It's so hard. But like, my parents they want to see the best for me, and they will do absolutely anything for me. So when they saw me struggling with that, fortunately we're in the position in which we could go to the dentist and we can have a consultation. And now I have 4 veneers on my front teeth.
I was going to say, you'd never know. Right. You've got a great smile.
Oh, shout out Dr. Steve Marsh.
Shout out Dr. Steve.
That's right.
You did a great job.
Thank you. That man single-handedly changed my life. He gave me every bit of what I needed to feel comfortable smiling.
That's so important.
And I thought to myself, well, what if there's stories out there that people have where if they share them, maybe it will help someone who's listening.
I love that.
Or maybe someone sharing their story, maybe someone opening their book, flipping through some of the pages will help them.
Yep.
It's amazing.
That's incredible.
There are a few people who have come on and they're like, That was like kind of therapeutic.
Totally. No, I feel that. And you have great energy. I'm very comfortable. And like you just said, I mean, it's even helping me. Like, this was a challenge. I'm not going to lie. I was like, gosh, I'm going to have to go in there and talk about myself. Like, this is really hard, and I stumble on my words. I get all caught up in my thoughts. And, it was a challenge. But you make this experience awesome. And how cool is it that you get to connect with people and you get to share your story as well. And I think it's incredible.
And you're doing an absolutely fantastic job. I wouldn't have ever thought that you wouldn't be normally talking about yourself in this level.
It started off a little wonky, but
no. It's funny because Bridget Linton, who we just had on, she was saying,
oh, she's amazing. I love her.
Yes.
Yeah, she's incredible.
She was at the 30 Under 30 Marble Room thing. Did you cross paths with her by chance?
I didn't cross paths with her, but she grew up like relatively close to where I grew up, and we've known each other throughout the years of just being Cleveland natives, and she's a light. She's incredible.
Yeah, so we've got her episode recorded, and I'm just like waiting to set it out. And she was saying, she goes, Jacob, I walk out into the Browns Stadium every Sunday during football season, and I don't even think twice about it. Meanwhile, I'm driving over here, and I'm like, what am I supposed to talk about?
That's so funny. That's so funny. I know. She's like a pro. This is her life.
Yes.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, she's incredible. I mean, she's Cleveland famous, and she's beautiful and kind. I mean, sweet on the inside as well as, beautiful on the out. She's incredible.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it all kind of comes back to something that Lily Richards said, and that was that when she started to open up the doors to opportunities within her life that allowed herself to experience more, and everything was more fulfilling, and allowed her the opportunity to grow.
Yeah, definitely. I know Lily as well, and she is just the sweetest human. I mean, she too is a vulnerable, open, person, which I just gravitate towards that. She's been through stuff, and she's a young mom, and she's beautiful, and she's thriving with her company, doing spray tans. It's just super cool to see, It's super cool to see, and, you don't know what a closed door will lead to, and there's so many, I always view it as a closed door is, there's an open door right next to it, right? If you close a door, you got to walk through another one. And it's scary, and you might not know what it looks like. Where I am on my path, I don't know what my open door is going to look like. But I'm ready to jump in, without fear. And, I often think of, just, not thinking too much about, who I am and what I'm trying to do. I just want to go with the flow and just kind of let it all happen.
Yes.
And
how beautiful to be able to do something like that.
Yeah, I'm very fortunate, and it's it hasn't been easy, right? It hasn't. Things haven't been given to me. I've worked really hard, and even just to get my headspace and my mind set in a place where I'm able to have trust in myself.
Yeah, and the support that you have behind you. I've always been inspired by the support that the women around Cleveland give themselves.
Yes.
I mean, it's insane. And it's something that I can only hope continues.
Oh, me too. I really think in a world so dark and so scary, as it is today, lighting other people's candles isn't going to take away from your flame. So lifting people up, lifting women up. There's so much hate and so much jealousy. It's like, what? Like everybody is on it, like you said, on their own path, doing life the best that they can. Why not lift them up, support them, be there for them, love them. This world just needs more love and support. And I love that Cleveland is like that. I really do feel it. And it's given us all hope, I think, to be able to, do something that we love and be able to share it and get that support and feedback that we all deserve, right?
Yeah. I think Cleveland's at a huge inflection point right now.
Oh, me too.
I'm super excited between what is going down in the flats, okay, between Tom is one of the curators behind Gray Tea Culture.
Okay.
And then you got DJ Evie, who's one of his business
Yes.
partners, who does the I'm from Cleveland?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then you've got Only Daughter Society, who puts together her events. And then
She's amazing as well. Yeah, all these people are just so incredible.
now is the moment for Cleveland to say, all right, we have the people. Cleveland has been investing in this. I mean, we just had the 30 under 30 for Forbes event
Which was
here.
awesome, right?
So we have people investing in it. So it's almost kind of like, what is that extra kick? What is that extra bump? What's that support that we need? Because I think we're on the right track.
1,000%. I couldn't agree more. I think that Cleveland is only growing and in an incredible speed right now. I mean, it's developing. You know, we have Sharon Williams going up. There's so many just, like really amazing restaurants. Like the culture here is really cool. We have sports teams. We've got the lake. Like Cleveland is awesome.
Yes.
It's like I get asked so many times, from people out of state, like, oh, do you like Cleveland? I always hear like different thoughts on it. I'm like, Cleveland freaking rocks. Haven't you heard that? Cleveland rocks. Like, it's incredible. I will vouch. I will literally sit here and just talk about how much I love Cleveland so much. And I am. I'm moving. I'm kind of going on a different adventure, but it doesn't mean I won't be back. I mean, who knows?
I mean, hey, I hope that you find what it is that you're looking for, but I will put a side bet on it that you'll be back.
I think so too.
It's funny because like my brother, long story short, my brother, he wound up emailing Logan Paul and asking him to be the editor on his podcast.
Wow.
And through a series of crazy events, he got the job.
Oh, that's awesome.
And he moved out to Los Angeles, but then Logan moved out to Puerto Rico. So my brother's been out still in Los Angeles, but hasn't had like Logan's compound where there was just so many people meeting up. And what he's found is he's just kind of like, is this home? That's what he started asking himself.
Yeah.
Like, this has been fun, but is it home?
Right.
And then you start to think, well, what is home?
Yep.
And one of the things that he defined as what home is where his family is.
Yeah, 1,000%.
I'm here, my sister's here, my mom and dad are here. All of our extended family is literally here in the Cleveland area. So he's talking about moving back. And I said to him, I go, part of me hopes that you find what you originally went out there looking for, and that you're happy enough to stay, and what it is that you found is enough for you to want to continue that.
Yeah.
But selfishly, I miss my brother, and I really want you to come back.
Yeah. I mean, I think we all go through stages too where we're just like, we got to get out of Cleveland. We've been here.
Yes.
That's how I felt. Cleveland is small. It's small, but it's lovely. And sometimes, you just got to spread your wings and go adventure and, go across the country or do what you need to do. And then come back and bring what you learned from these different areas, and bring it to Cleveland because you can. And, that's how Cleveland gets to be Cleveland. And, it has so many cool, creative people here. There's just so many people that I've talked to that have moved out of state and for a couple of years and just, have dove deep into like their culture and just have learned and grown within different cities and then brought what they've learned and grown and, to Cleveland and developed a cool new restaurant or like a new bar or, anything. And I think that's super cool too when you aren't afraid to go and experience, different cities and stuff.
Yeah, because we're taking like the best parts of all of these other places and just like injecting them into Cleveland.
Exactly, yeah. And I think that's that's how Cleveland will ultimately become what it is. I hope that it doesn't lose its authentic self. I think that Cleveland is, I hope it doesn't try to be like a Chicago, try to be like a LA or New York. Like I just want it to still be Cleveland and a wholesome little city.
Yes.
But still have cool, cool new things.
Yes.
But,
Well, because you're so right. Like,
yeah.
I like to compare it to Miami University, where I went to college.
Oh,
It
yeah.
was big enough to feel as though I was a part of this huge school, but it was small enough where it's like everyone kind of knew who each other was.
Right.
Not to the extent in which we were flipping through the pages of each person's book,
Yeah.
but what we knew based off of the different, cliques, groups, or what it is that we were in, or the bars that we went to for that
Right.
matter, it was something in which there was a sense of community. And Cleveland
Yeah.
does have that community.
Oh, it does. It really does. And that's something that I've held on to, and it's kind of held me in here, in Cleveland. I've always wanted to move and to live in a different area and just, go all the way across the country to California, or even, I don't know. I've just always wanted that. But the sense of community here in Cleveland's just been like, no, Lid, like, just stay.
Yeah.
Stay.
Yeah.
So,
I know you don't have a roadmap in regards to where you're headed to next, but are there any specific states or cities that are piquing your interest?
where I'm going, I want to, ultimately just keep an open mind. And, is it just for traveling purposes, or is it a place that I could see myself living? And LA is on my list, just for, I'll do it for a month. Just
Yeah.
see. I don't think I could live there. I'm not really a SoCal girl, but, just to travel and just do it and just see how I am there could be really cool. I also have Charleston on my list. I love warm weather, and I've heard recently that Charleston's also a very artsy little community, which is super cool, and it intrigues me, of course. And I have some friends that recently just moved there. So Charleston, and then I'm kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
There's also Colorado. I love the mountains. I'm a mountain girl. I love nature. Actually, nature's mainly my biggest inspiration for my art. So, I'll go on a hike and I'll see, mushrooms growing on the side of a tree. And I'm like, like that looks awesome. Take a picture, and like incorporate that somehow into a painting. Or I'll see caves and like just rocks or like moss growing. And I'm just super inspired by just life in general.
Yes. I'll have to set
Nature.
you up with my friend Pia, because she is always going to those, what I would just classify as like nature trips.
Yeah.
She
yeah.
absolutely loves those. She loves going on hikes. She loves experimenting things. And I also found out that she's like she loves doing the solo traveling thing.
Yep,
Yeah.
and that's going to be a huge challenge for me. I've never done that before, but I really, this chapter, I'm almost 30, and I really just want to connect with Lydia Troy more, and and just learn more about her. And I'm learning amazing things about her every day, and I'm just growing into this woman, and I'm proud of her. I've been through so much especially in my early 20s. A totally different person, and now I'm like, I'm happy, and I'm getting to a place where I'm confident. And traveling solo would be a huge challenge for me, but I think it's something that I really want to do, and I think I'll grow immensely even more from it. So
Well, what a perfect segue for me to ask, what makes Lydia smile?
oh, there's so much that makes Lydia smile. I think the main thing that makes me smile is just life, just being grateful for life. Every Saturday or every weekend I try to get out there and go on a walk or a hike, and I just love to, see people out and about with their families, kids playing. I love seeing flowers bloom in the spring and leaves, die in the fall. I love hearing birds sing, and honestly, I love just people. People make me smile, especially supporting one another in tough times like this right now. It's like the world is scary, and it's only going to get scarier. So just lifting others up and supporting one another, just being grateful for being alive and just living. That's what makes me smile.
That's beautiful.
Thanks.
Where can they follow you?
They could follow me, at Lydia K. Troy. On my Instagram, that's mostly where I post. Feel free to message me if you've, had a loss in your family, or if you're going through something difficult, especially with addiction. And feel free to reach out to me. I love to hear that, and hear about struggles that people are going through. And if I can do something for you, I would love that.
Can you believe it's almost been an hour?
No, I could see her all day and talk to you, Jacob.
You did a
This is awesome.
fantastic job.
Oh, thanks. It was really, honestly, it was super inspiring.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, you are inspiring. People are going to listen to this episode and they're going to get a better idea as far as who you are based off of the pages that you flipped for us here today. I thought that is an analogy that I will keep with me for the rest of my life.
Analogy, that's what I was trying to think of. Yes. Yeah. I mean, it was cool. I saw that. I was like, wow, like humans are like books, you know?
Yes.
I mean, it's crazy. Like, you know, a lot of people, there's so many different books out there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some people will just pick it up and, you know, think the cover's cool. Don't ever, you know, even open it, right? I'm guilty of that, right? And so I think in a world that's so judgmental, it's cool to actually get to know people and sit down and have a conversation with them, see where they've been, you know, listen to their stories.
It's going to differ based off of person by person.
Yeah.
But do you think that it actually is healing to share your story more than keep it to yourself?
Oh, 1,000%. Yeah. And it is different for everyone, right? You know, some people deal with grief in different ways, you know, and it's waves, right? So I go through ups and downs where I struggle, you know, and I do find myself talking about my situation, you know, what I've been through, extremely healing. And if I can help someone, you know, or even just talk to someone else that, you know, has been in similar shoes as me, it helps. It helps a lot. You know, life is not fair and it's tough, you know, and my situation isn't worse than anybody else's situation, no matter the scenario, right? You know, so I think that we all go through challenges in life. And if we can just be vulnerable and open and share that, you know, I'm not just this, you know, blonde-haired girl, Peyton, and like doing, you know, doing all these crazy things, you know, for nothing. It's like I paint with purpose.
Yeah.
And you know, it's healing for me. So
thank you for being so vulnerable with us today. Thank you for sharing every bit of what you did. All of that means a lot to me. Thank you,
Jacob. I mean, seriously, you're a light in itself. I mean, the fact that you're so selfless that you want to connect with people and ask us about our lives, you know, it's like, I'm so glad that I got to hear a little bit about your story. I should sit here and interview you. Let's reverse.
That's right.
If you ever need that, you know, I'd be happy to be the interviewer. That is what I do.
I appreciate that. When I am ready, I will let you know.
Okay,
I always
cool.
joke around with that. It's funny because it's like it in the same which way that Bridget said it, in the same which way that you thought it and said it. I literally, I think people think that like I'm comfortable and confident. I am on this side of the mic, but it's like, well, what does it look like on the other side? I don't know.
It's scary. No, I'm kidding. You've made it really, really enjoyable. I mean, it felt like a conversation with, you know, a buddy. You know, it was super awesome. So thank you so much for, you know, making this space comfortable. And I hope I didn't sound too crazy on there, but, you know.
You do wonderful.
It's me.